Yo, what's good? What's cracking? Welcome to the 116 Movement Podcast. I am your host, DJ C Supreme. Christ reigns supreme in my life and hopefully yours. Today, I had the chance to sit down and talk with Darrell Dominic from Bremerton, Washington. We talked about his testimony, we talked about his ministry, we talked about his music, and his upcoming project. So without further ado, let's hop into the conversation I had with Darrell Dominic. I'm here with Darrell Dominic from Tats and Scars Entertainment. Darrell, tell us, how did you come to faith in Christ? Did you grow up in church, or was there a defining moment when you first recognized that you needed a Savior?
Both. So I grew up in church. You know, my mama, she became a believer after. So I have 4 sisters, and me and my younger sister, we both had the same dad. All my older sisters have different dads. And so my mama, she came to faith after my first 3 older sisters were born. And so when me and my younger sister were born, she was already a Christian. You know, we began growing up in the church, and she was always telling us about God, praying, things like that. And so we grew up in it. You know, my pops, they actually divorced. They divorced when I was super young. But my pops used to be a deacon at a church. And so I kind of just grew up in the church culture. You know, we attended the black church or whatnot. And so it was just this is part of the culture. You know, we go, with our suits on and stuff, and then we go to church. I never understood it. And so, and I was never really interested in it. I remember saying I don't know if it was a sinner's prayer or a prayer to come to Christ when I was 8 years old. And me and my little sister did it. My sister cried and stuff. But, it was almost like a capacity thing. So I work in the courts and stuff. And so we always every time we have a kid that commits a crime, you have to assess capacity. If this person really understood, what was going on at that time. I ended up having to, just not really understand it. When I grew up, I didn't understand it at all. And so I ended up getting into the streets and everything because I was raised around it. I was raised on the east side of Oklahoma City where Crips used to be, the shotgun Crips. So all of my cousins were into gangs, and, they were, just really into that lifestyle, going to prison and things like that. So I grew up around that. And even in middle school, having to go through metal detectors to get into the school, in 6th grade, things like that, just things that I didn't even know was traumatic, until now. Now that I'm working with kids, I'm like, hey, I was your age, 12 years old, going through metal detectors, And so, I began to adopt this identity from when I started to do hip hop at age 12, and my influences were just people that glorified, sex, money, drugs, women, all those different things. And, I wanted to live that lifestyle. We grew up, we were broke, and we didn't have anything in our name. We didn't own a house or anything like that. So it was kind of just I'm looking up to these guys on television and seeing them do it at a big level. And it's man, I want to be like that. I want my family to be, successful or to be rich and all these different things. And so that began my journey, going down this path of destruction, just getting into drugs, selling drugs, carrying guns, being a womanizer, all those different things. That was what I rapped about as well. I felt like if I rapped about it, I needed to live it. And so I kind of just embodied this lifestyle. And even though I wasn't really connected to church as much, and I was going, my mama still raised me with morals. I was raised with morals. And so I had this thing in my conscience when I was really in the streets, I know I shouldn't be doing this. And so that was always speaking to my conscience every time. And I began, going deeper into the street life and things like that. Went to jail, rapping, about, money, women, drugs, all those different things, selling drugs. I was just really just in head first. That pivotal moment where I came to Christ was just I hit rock bottom. I glorified this dream of being this rap star and to being rich and all these different things. I glorified those things. And I remember in hindsight, my mama, she used to say, God told me that you're going to be a preacher. And she told me that when I was 13, 14 years old. And I was just I don't want to be a preacher. It was kind of just my mentality at the time was church is boring. I don't want to be a preacher, and so then now, fast forward, I get to this place where I just hit rock bottom. Like, I'm glorifying, I'm idolizing this rap career, all these different things. And then, God just showed me it was empty. I spent all my money, I went flat broke, investing into this rap dream. My manager at the time, he used to manage some pretty big names out of the Bay Area, and he had a gambling problem, and so like, we're paying for my distribution deal and all these different things. This was back in 2011. And, he blows the money, and things like that. And so like I began to see my life just take a turn, just hit rock bottom. And I went through like a deep depression. I wasn't in my son's life. I wasn't just doing what I was supposed to do. Like, I didn't have a career, didn't have a job, got kicked out of school. I was doing college. I was like 5 months from graduating with my associates in business administration because I wanted to use that for music. And I was just using the money to like buy drugs and to, invest in my rap career. And I wasn't even focused on school. So I got kicked out of school with 5 months left to get my associate's degree. And so, I hit rock bottom. I was just like, man, that moment where me and my friend were talking and just the things he was saying to me was like so true that it was just like a dagger that just hit in my heart,
So you and your friend were in a trap, right?
Yeah. We was in the trap house, and it was crazy because, we were both under the influence, we drunk and high and all those things. And it's out the middle of nowhere. Like, I'm going through all these things internally, and I'm trying to uphold like this image. I'm trying to uphold this dream. Everybody on the outside of it is just like, man, you're going to make it big. Man, I see you going far. Man, I see what you're doing. They're just hyping up my ego. But internally, I'm going through this conflict. My friend, his dad was a preacher. His dad was a pastor, and his dad had passed away. Just out the middle of nowhere, he just begins like preaching to me, just telling me about like, we see like what they promote in the media and just how we need to be using our music and our gifts for God. And, I don't know what was going through his mind at that time, but like what he was saying, God was definitely using because it was convicting me on a major level, and it felt like I felt it physically, like just like a dagger just stabbing my heart. And I'm just like, dang, like this, I like literally feel in my heart like something physically happened, but it was spiritual. So then, we get to the point where he's just like, man, pray, go in the room, pick up your Bible, pray before you read the Bible. I'll guarantee you God will speak to you. I was just like, all right, I'm about to try this. And so I went into the room, and I picked up my Bible. I ain't picked it up in months, and I just prayed, just asked God, like, hey, God, if you really wanted to speak to me right now, this is your opportunity. I just opened the book straight up to Ecclesiastes. My eyes landed on chapter 5. I just began reading it, and just like, what it was saying, just about like people spending their money on investments that turn sour and have nothing left to give to their children. Like that was exactly what I was going through at that time, because I was so caught up in investing in my music that I was neglecting my son. And then I was just like, wow. And then it just talked about like people living under this cloud of frustration and anger. And that was just all the feelings that I was feeling because like, in this world, like they tell you, you can do it, anybody can do it, and you can achieve your dream, and all this stuff. But like, I was really like doing that, I was really trying my hardest and it wasn't happening. I just kept getting shut down. And then, just the mic drop line was just like, you're born naked, you die naked. You can't take your riches to the grave with, me and this dream of like getting rich and getting famous and all these different things. I began to learn that it was meaningless. That was like that moment where I said, all right, God, I give it up. I even give the music up as well.
Yeah, I think, from hearing your testimony, a couple things that really strike me is, as a child, you were brought up in church, and the Bible says that if you raise up a child in the way he should go, when he gets old, he will not depart from it. And the same with your friend. His dad was a pastor, so I mean, y'all, even though y'all were drinking and smoking and chasing things of the world, God still had a calling on your life from the way your parents had raised you as a child, man. That's awesome.
Exactly.
And it's so true that what you talked about when you said to when you open the Bible that you ask God to speak to you. Every day since I started doing that, there's always something new that He reveals to me within the Word that I never would have got had I not asked for that before I picked it up. So. And that's great.
Yeah.
So aside from your mom, who else were the biggest spiritual influences in your life?
I would say my pastor, Mark Johnson. So back in 2008, when I went to jail, I had kind of like an experience with God. I went to jail, and then, when I got to jail, I did what most people do, pray to get out of jail. I prayed that God would get me out of jail, and God got me out of jail. I got bailed out that night, and then I began like seeing God move in certain ways, and I began like bargaining with God, like, oh God, I'll quit smoking weed if you give me this job, because I had failed the drug test for one job and I had to pay these lawyer fees and stuff. And, so I quit smoking, then I got this good job, and stuff like that. And then I was just like bargaining back and forth with God, even though God knew I wasn't going to be loyal to him. He still did it in his grace. At that time, my pastor was dropping, my grandma off. I was staying with my grandma, and this is before I knew him. And then we just ended up talking, and he was telling me some of his testimony of just like the things that he's been through in the street life. And like, it's crazy how just nothing's new under the sun, like he's telling me about the street life that he lived in the 70s and, 80s, and how he came to faith, and so like we just connected because we both had that same story. We both had that similar story, and we both were really engaged in that.
So when did you start making Christian hip hop?
2011, April 2011. That's when I came to faith. I did go like hard left, when I came to Christian hip hop. I didn't understand how to communicate, the scriptures, because I was just more just zealous and passionate and like hot-headed at times, with the Bible and, judgmental, all those different things. And so like, because like, even though like it was coming out in my music, I felt like it was almost like me just talking to myself as well. Like these are the things I learned, and these are the things that very dear to me. And so, but it came out as if, I was judging other people and things like that. So that was when I started Christian hip hop. And then I wasn't a good communicator through hip hop at that time. And so, I was doing my music thing for a while. And then I had went mostly more hip hop just in general, because like I began to like perform in like schools and like just places, that aren't very welcome to the church. I had to kind of make this music where I could talk about the morals and talk about the Bible without quoting scripture. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so things like that. So I kind of just started doing more hip hop because I was performing in these places where like church and state separated, like in schools. They didn't want me to like talk about, explicitly talk about the Bible or Jesus or things like that. And so I had to do it in code. I kind of went that route for a while. And then now I'm back, like I'm kind of more balanced, I'm balanced within like, CHH Christian hip hop, and as well as doing like songs that, I can perform in like, a school or places that may not be as welcome to the church. And especially since I live in like the Pacific Northwest, we're one of the top unchurched states in the country. And so especially in my county, like the county I live in is one of the most unchurched counties in the U.S. And so you get a lot of atheists. You get a lot of people that are angry at God, or and things like that. And so I've seen it within a lot of different circles and experienced it myself. And so I kind of had to move in a way where I can be like reaching these non-believers, without being like just shoved in this box. Like, no, we're not giving you a platform to reach these people because you're a Jesus follower,
So let's talk about your song No Cap. It just came a few months ago with Thizzle. How did you get linked up with him?
So me and Thizzle, he came up, he had a couple concerts back in June of last year, and he had posted on Facebook that he needed a videographer because one of his concerts got canceled. He was supposed to perform in Seattle. One of them got canceled. And so he ended up doing this listening party at this event, and he needed a videographer. And then a few people that I shot videos for in Seattle, they were tagging me in the comments of his post. I ended up reaching out to him, and we ended up talking on the phone. And then, so we linked up. I did the event, and then I told him like I wanted to shoot a music video for him. And so we found time that Sunday before he left. I believe he left that Monday to shoot the video Talk to Me that he put out back in, I believe it was July or something like that, either July or August. So I shot that video. When we connected about the video, I just said, hey, man, I'd love to do a track with you, things like that. And then he said he would be down to do it. We kind of just began to build. And so I sent him a song and then actually went down to St. Louis with him to stay with him back in August. And I shot a couple videos for him. And, we did some photography and stuff, and we worked on the song No Cap. And so that was how it came about.
Nice. Tell me about the meaning and inspiration behind that song.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because it's almost like a trendy type term. Capping means lying. So when we say no cap, that means no lie. Like, this is our lifestyle. This is what we've been through. This is where we're at. It was kind of just like one of those street type songs where it's like, man, we just gonna tell these people what it is. Like, we're not capping about our lifestyle and what God has saved us from. That's what we're talking about. And then we're also just approaching it in a way where it's like, hey, respect it, put some respect on our name, just kind of like, that's kind of just our approach with it. That's the vibe that a lot of people get because, like, I mean, me and Thizzle, we both have similar styles of music, where it can be like hard gospel or like trappy, like just kind of just that hard, gritty, grimy type music. And so this is kind of a representative of those two styles.
Well, let's go ahead and play that song now. This is Darrell Dominic featuring Thizzle, and this one is called No Cap.
Yeah. Darrell Dominic. Hey, Thizzle. What's happening, homie? Let's do it. Ain't no lie, I put in work. No cap, no cap. Ain't no lie, I did my dirt. No cap, no cap. Ain't no lie, I really changed. No cap, no cap. They lying just to entertain. No cap, no cap. Ain't no lie, I put in work. No cap, no cap. Ain't no lie, I did my dirt. No cap, no cap. Ain't no lie, I really changed. No cap. No cap, they lying just to entertain. No cap, no cap. Hey, they thinking that I'm playing when I'm saying that I live this. So they trying to test the water till they start to feel it. No coward in my bones, so don't think for a second that your boy is soft. Cause I'm grateful for my blessings. I'm praying to God, I'ma switch up my character. Tempted to do so, we'll switch up the narrative. Not going backwards to me is imperative. Places I'm going, don't think that I'm scared of it. Not in these places because it was merited. Telling you different than homie, that's counterfeit. They trolling for social status and clout. Somebody tell me what this madness about. My bloodline is authentic. That disrespect is off limits. Don't really care if y'all feel it. This lifestyle, we all in it. This deadly game ain't friendly. They'll peel your brain for a penny. Growing up, we ain't had plenty. That's why your boy on this grizzy. Ain't no lie, I put in work. No cap, no cap. Ain't no lie, I did my dirt. No cap, no cap. Ain't no lie, I really changed. No cap, no cap. They lying just to entertain. No cap, no cap. Ain't no lie, I put in work. No cap, no cap. Ain't no lie, I did my dirt. No cap, no cap. Ain't no lie, I really changed. No cap, no cap. They lying just to entertain. No cap, no cap. Y'all know me, I don't cap a lot. Stay in the stew, I don't rap a lot. You like to hear yourself talk a lot. I don't even know what you be talking about. Your favorite rapper actor, he don't live half of the stuff he be rapping. You hear me, he capping. Matter of fact, he the captain. I say I'm a Christian, somehow in their head they believe I'm a pastor. But I'm really a savage, being tamed by the master. Off the chain, I'm disaster. Not the rapper that battles. I got demons I battle, and they down to get at you. Hop the plane to Seattle, made a play for some beats coin. I shake my head at you. You clout chase for a platform? No need to rap on nothing I have or nothing I did. Cause when you know what you know, then you know what it is. Ain't no lie, I put in work. No cap, no cap. Ain't no lie, I did my dirt. No cap, no cap. Ain't no lie, I really changed. No cap, no cap. They lying just to entertain. No cap, no cap. Ain't no lie, I put in work. No cap.
All right, we're back with Darrell Dominic from Tats and Scars Entertainment. Tell us about Tats and Scars Entertainment. How many artists are on that label?
Currently, we have 4 artists. It's me, Most Needed, Icy Third, and JR Flows. It formed with just me and Most Needed. We kind of just linked up, and we were super talented. It's not a lot of Christian artists up here, especially in the area I live in. And he happened to be there. I saw his talent, and we just, decided that we wanted to form something. And we did a song called Tats and Scars, and we were just like, that would sound really nice for a label too. And so we kind of just formed that idea and everything.
So all the artists on your label are all CHH artists?
Yeah. For the most part, JR Flows, he's still a young cat, and I mentored him since he was like in 6th grade and stuff. And he's very connected with, youth group and things like that. But, just trying to figure out where he fits in his style of music. I mean, he's not like disrespectful or anything in his music, but I don't know if we would say it's explicit like Christian hip hop or whatnot. And so we're still working through that.
Do you classify yourself as a CHH artist, or are you just a Christian who raps?
I would say both. Because there's times in like my life where like it's just very like the gospel is just like I just want to go hard for the gospel right now, and I'm just that's what my music is gonna reflect. And so like that's CHH, But then again, at the same time, like it's kind of weird because a lot of my support group in Washington State aren't Christian. And so like now that I'm getting more into the CHH field and arena and getting placed on platforms and getting opportunities, it's kind of like it's boosting up the support. But like most of my core fans in Washington, aren't Christian. And I got a lot of them through, when I used to work for a ministry that worked with homeless youth, and I used to do street outreach and things like that. I was freestyling with kids. I would go into like the high school. We got these big circle of kids. We freestyling and everything. And so like a lot of my fans aren't believers. And so it's kind of weird. So sometimes, like I'm a Christian hip hop artist, and then sometimes like I'm a Christian that raps. So it's kind of, I'm like both.
So when you're not making music, what else are you doing?
I'm a family man. I got 2 kids. My wife, we've been married going on 5 years. And then I'm also a videographer and photographer. I just, went down to Tampa, Florida, and I shot a couple videos with Dayton. Outside of that, I'm a juvenile probation officer as well. So I work for the courts and try to help kids, get on the right track and keep them from coming into the adult system.
So let's talk about your new song, Pablo Escobar featuring Raw Beat. How did that song come about?
That song, so it was weird. Like a few years ago when the Netflix series Narcos came out, I was really hooked into that series, about Pablo Escobar, and like, cause I'm very like into like documentaries and like learning about different historic, figures or whatnot, Christian or non-Christian. And so when they came out with that series displaying his life, I wanted to make a song about just kind of like doing the storyline, in the song, like a storytelling song, kind of like Slick Rick or like old school hip hop where they told stories. And so kind of like the meaning behind it is just like what I'm doing is I'm rapping from the perspective of someone that's in the hood, in the ghettos, that justifies their lifestyle based off their environmental circumstances. And so that's kind of the perspective I'm coming from. So like, people may not, they're not going to hear me say Jesus or things like that. But I did say some key things like my soul is conflicted, the enemy stripped it, and just saying like things like that, just to kind of show like, this person that's going through this conflict, and things like that. And so, but then on the chorus, I say, I am everything that these people want to be. I am everything that these people want to see. I am Pablo Escobar. And that was just kind of like you have a drug lord and you have someone that's a key figure that a lot of people feel like they want to live up to this lifestyle. They want to live this lifestyle, and stuff like that. And so that's why I said I am everything that these people want to be. And these are people that are like, at the bottom, in the ghettos and things like that are impacted by drugs, that sell drugs to make money, and things like that. And I am everything that these people want to see. That's the lifestyle that people glorify. And so we see it in the media, we see it in, movies, things like that. People want to see this lifestyle, drug lords and things like that. And then that's why I said I am Pablo Escobar. And so it's kind of got some interesting meanings behind it, when I did it.
Yeah, it's deep. Well, let's play that song right now. This is Darrell Dominic featuring Raw B, and this one is called Pablo Escobar.
Plata o plomo. ustedes venir. Yo soy Pablo Emilio Escobar Gaviria.
La, 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 la. La la la, yeah, la la la, yeah, la. Hey, I was raised on the block, ran dude, we ain't got. Late night, we in shots, loud sirens from the cops. Ghetto birds on the move, we don't care about no school. Role models from the streets, bros follow they deceased. Surrounded by daily repetitive cycles, trying to get fronted with credit like FICO. Be lying to say that it never gets cycled. Don't stop till you getting enough like it's Michael. Can't take to the grave, but I want the clout. It's making us slaves, now we count it out. Them boys getting paid and making it count. Follow the Lord, them boys ain't about. My soul is conflicted, won't go for repentance. The enemy knowingly tricked and stripped and insisted I'm gifted to carry this mission. I handle my business and doing it bigger. We pulling them triggers and trying to get millions. Pass it all down to my grandchildren's children. This game is cutthroat, don't care about your feelings. I'm going all in, stack the bread to the ceiling. Now got it, got it, got it, got it, got it, got it, got it. We cap it, chop it, rock it, block it, off it for the profit. Yeah, we ain't got nothing to lose. My cousin got holes in their shoes. It's either get ace or we choose. And I really got something to prove. I am everything that these people wanna see. And I am everything that these people wanna be. I am everything that these people wanna see. And I am everything that these people wanna be. I am Pablo Escobar. 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 Everything that these people wanna be. I am everything that these people wanna see. And I am everything that these people wanna be. I am Pablo Escobar. 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 Wanna see, and I am everything that these people wanna be. I am everything that these people wanna see, and I am everything that these people wanna be. I am Pablo Escobar. 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 Pablo Escobar.
Ahora.
All right, we're back with Darrell Dominic from Bremerton, Washington. Darrell, when it's all said and done, what are you hoping to accomplish with your music?
A lot of things, my music has been hopeful for a lot of people that don't believe in Christ, which is very strange to me, how God has given me a lot of favor with non-believers. People have told me, I was just meeting with a kid of mine the other day, saw him outside of the grocery store, and he was just like, man, your music has been such a blessing to me and has helped me get through life and think about this and think about that, but he's not a believer, and so ultimately I'm just trying to spread the name of Christ and to show people that Christ, you give your life to Christ, your life's going to change. If you stick with it, not get distracted. And when I say not get distracted, obviously the parable of the seeds, and things like that. I think about that a lot. That's what I'm mainly trying to accomplish. I go and I minister and perform for the kids in the juvenile detentions, the kids in juvenile prisons, things like that too, and those kids are like, when I leave, they're like, hey, can we have a CD? I'm like, okay. These kids that are searching for answers, these kids that need guidance, people that need guidance, they're connecting with my music. That's my goal, is just to give people hope, inspiration, and hopefully, people come to know the Lord, or it plants seeds in people's lives and things like that, which I have seen in the past as well.
Amen. Do you have any other future projects in the works right now?
Yeah, so currently my album, or my EP, whichever one it is, EP, LP, I think it's EP. It drops on January 31st. It's called Hindsight. After that, I'm dropping a music video with Dre Murray. And then I have a song that I actually just released featuring Dayton and Most Needed. That we have a video in the vault, and we're probably going to release March sometime. And then Pablo Escobar, that's going to be a single. And so we're shooting a video for that in March. And I have a comic book being created for that as well, which a lot of people don't know, and the comic book is pretty much a reflection of the story that's going to happen in the video. I've also have some things in the works with some other CHH artists for my next project, which will probably be a mixtape, but I have no timetable on when that's dropping. I just know I have a bunch of beats, and I've had a few artists write and send me my features, that me featuring them, sending their verses to me. And so I have some things kind of in the works, and so my brain is always kind of thinking about the next thing, which can be a gift and a curse at times.
So where can people find you online, and where can they purchase your music?
Yeah, they can purchase my music pretty much almost every streaming platform, or iTunes, Google Play, Amazon. I encourage people to purchase. Just search up Darrell Dominic. That's Darrell Dominic, and you'll find all of my material on Spotify, Amazon, Apple Music, all those different platforms.
Anything else that you would like to tell the people who are listening?
Yeah. Tap in with my music. Tap in with my music videos. I have a music video for a song No Cap. Also a music video for my song Trust Issues. You can definitely follow me on social media, Instagram, Darrell.Dominic, Facebook, Darrell Dominic Music. I'm starting to work my Twitter back in the game. I do have a Twitter called Darrell Dom Music, but it's kind of hard building up Twitter again. So since I switched over from Smiley D, so it's been pretty hard.
Darrell, I really appreciate you taking time out to speak with me. I think you've got a lot going on up there right now. You've got a good team surrounding you, so I'm definitely excited to see what you have coming in 2020. And I just pray that God will bless you, bless your ministry, and just increase within your life, increase your resources, increase the people around you, and increase His Spirit within you. So I'm definitely looking forward to see what you have coming in 2020 and into the future.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate you.